Okay guys, so today I was requested yesterday to show how I insert my cups inside of my strapless garments, or just my garments period. And so that's what I'm going to show you guys today. Like I told them in the comments, it is ghetto how I do it, because I'm always just figuring out how to do stuff because I did not go to school, as most of you know. So this is the way that I do it, and it's so easy. Like, it's so easy. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Right here I have my strapless bodice, and it already has the I should put my boning in. Okay, hold on. Okay, so y'all, I had forgot to put my boning in. I actually use two types of bonings, but I'll go over that in a different video. Okay, so what I do is I try to find on here where my bust curve reaches the under bust. So that's right under your bust. It's like it should curve out and then come back in. So that's about right here. So I'm gonna wanna put a pin right here to mark this. This is where I want my underwire to sit. Get in there. Okay. So now that I have that marked, this is the ghetto part, y'all. So don't judge me, but I don't like doing all that extra work for cups. So I go to a Walmart, or I actually got this from a Dollar General, but these are really good bras, and this was $5. So what I do is I use these and I make sure that they are push up, just so I get that extra lift. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the extra off right here, and this will be inside, so I mean, you won't be able to see that it's, you know, cut like this and everything. Now, if you have exposed cups, it's different. You definitely want to do those from scratch. But I am going to cut basically from here to right here, creating a balconette bra. I don't like to keep this entire cup because, especially with cuts like this, it tends to be too high. Let me cut the straps off. So I usually don't keep the cups full, because it seems like when you do, they come up way too high. As you can see, this comes up above where my seam allowance is. So what I like to do is I like to create like a balconette, kind of following the curve of the push-up part. So cut right along there. I'm gonna do the same for this side. Okay, good. So this is what we are left with. Move these to the side. Now what we're gonna do is, you can leave this on or you can take this off. It really doesn't matter. I'll cut the extra off though, but I'm gonna leave it on just to give me a good distance that I know will give the lift that I want. Make sure that your fabric is interfaced before you do this as well. So I marked my underbust on both sides with pins. I just marked this one side, and then I measured it, which it measured 3.5 inches from the bottom, and then I measured 3.5 inches just to make sure they're completely even. So now what I'm going to do, I am going to lay the underwire here. Just to kind of get an idea of where my middle is. Making sure that this is lined up with this. I am going to first pin this in the middle. That's where this really comes in handy, with making sure everything is even. Okay, so now I'm going to guide that up to where it falls right slightly above that. And you want to grab it on the outside, and you want to make sure that it is even. I'll be sewing lace on top of this, so that's why I don't really care about my stitching on the my boning stitching on the outside. I usually don't like it. but here it works. Okay, so when you get ready to pin this side, make sure it falls below your seam allowance, because you don't want to be sewing over cups when you sew your lining on. So I'm doing the same, just pinning this on the outside so it doesn't move. So now we're going to do the same for this. It's so difficult with the boning, y'all. Okay, so that should be about even. I'm just smoothing this over with my hand, but making sure that it still stays right here. Okay, cool. Because if you don't smooth it, you can easily lose width, which will end up making your garment possibly not fit. Okay, so I'm gonna guide this, making sure it's kind of even with this side. Up a little bit more, there we go. So I'm going to pin this right here. So now this is what we have. Flip it over, make sure it is even on the outside, and you can actually unpin the middle now because you don't want to have that pinned. You can try it out by either putting it on yourself or putting it on a dress form just to kind of make sure it is smooth. It does look like it is good. Yeah, we're good to go, I think. And this will give the cleavage, because if it's down a little lower, then the breast will sit in the cups, but it won't give the lift that you want. Like you want that, you know, honey, you know. Okay, so get you a needle and some thread, and you're going to thread this. Okay, so in this case, since I am covering this top with lace, I can really just sew through all the way, but I'm gonna show you both ways to do it. I'm gonna start right here on this corner. You always wanna sew from right to left. It's just so much easier than trying to sew backwards, especially when you're doing a slip stitch. Which is, I think what it's called. I think it's called a slip stitch. I'm not sure, but yeah. Okay, so if I'm just sewing this regular and I know that I'm gonna cover the other side with lace, I can just sew all the way through like this. Pull it out and then just come back through like that. And I could do that all the way around. But, okay, knots, don't be doing this. But what I have done garments, and I put a picture in where I had to sew cups in, and I had to sew the cups to the outer layer because I didn't do an inner lining. Because you know some garments have the outer layer, the inner lining, and then a lining. And you'll usually do your boning and your cups in the inner lining. So didn't do that. And I don't want to sew them to my lining. So what I would do is go about, I'll say, a ½ inch, grab, let me see, I want you guys to be able to see this. Make sure I'm focused. Grab about a thread of fabric or 2 threads or whatever to where it won't really show on the inside. This is kind of like how you do a blind, I think it's called a blind stitch. And then you're going to want to come up through the cup. And you're going to repeat that. You're going to go about a ½ inch, grab a teeny bit of fabric. Now it's completely optional. If you have a thick fabric, you can glue the cups in first and then sew them. But I haven't had any problems with cups coming out or anything. And you kind of want to flatten this out just a little bit. So as you do it, make sure I'm still in frame. As you do it, you're gonna want to pull a little tight. Not too tight because you don't want it to really show through, but just enough to where, and you see how you can't see this on this side? I mean, you can see the initial stitch I just did, but once I started doing the blind stitches, you can't see them on the outside, but it's still attaching to the fabric. And you see how we're kind of flattening this out so it'll be a little more smooth because it's so bulky because of the padding. So again, about a 1/2 inch. Grab a teeny tiny little bit. Come through. Pull a little bit to flatten. Okay, so you can go all the way around here, then all the way around here. Then you're going to want to cut your thread and reknot and do the same for this side. So I'm gonna fast forward through this part of me sewing so you guys can watch it, but you don't have to sit here through the real time. And I just want to say this, you will be able to see what look like kind of pin pricks or whatever, very, very small. If you have a thicker fabric, then you won't see these at all. And honestly, even on a thinner fabric, like they still don't look that bad. But again, I'll be covering some. And when I do that, I'm just flattening it back out so it still stays tight, but it's not pulling as hard on it, scrunching it up. Make sure the entire time that you are doing this, that you are keeping your fabric straight on the other side, like you're holding it to where you don't sew wrong. And then see how I keep flattening it out with my hand on the other side. Get to the end, you're going to want to tie a knot. I tie mine, if you watch my other videos, then you know how I tie mine. I do this first, where I wrap it 3 times. Pull it tight. That knot never stays to me by itself, so then I also come through, pull it through just enough. Cut, and I pull. Y'all ignore my nails. I just had to take them off because I cannot sew with nails. I pull one way and one the other way, and I tie them as many times as I feel. I usually do about 4 or 5 times, just for extra security. And I cut it. This will be on the inside, so I'll leave a little bit of string. Now, I did give up on trying to make it really neat. This fabric is thin though, so like I said, I would not sew this cup to the outside. Were I not doing this on, I would do an inside lining, which I will show you guys how to do in another video. But yes, or you can also do it to just your regular lining. But this is how I sew my cups in. And it gives a great lift. So now I'm gonna do the other side.